Iran heads to presidential runoff on July 5 amid record-low turnout. Tehran, Iran. The snap presidential election in Iran is heading into a runoff next week, after Reformist-Backed Masoud Pezeshkian and Hardliner Saeed Jalili emerged at the top but failed to secure a majority in a vote with a record-low turnout. Only 40% of more than 61 million eligible Iranians voted, the Ministry of Interior said on Saturday, a new low in presidential elections since the country's 1979 revolution. The final numbers from election headquarters at the ministry showed that the moderate Pezeshkian received more than 10.41 million votes from a total of more than 24.5 million ballots counted, trailed by former nuclear negotiator Saeed Jalili with 9.47 million votes. This is only the second time since the 1979 revolution that a presidential election has gone to a second round. Conservative Speaker of the Parliament Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, with 3.38 million votes, and conservative Islamic leader Mostafa Pourmohammadi, with 206,397 votes, were knocked out of the race. Two other candidates, Tehran Mayor Alireza Zakani and government official Amir-Hossein Ghazizadeh Hashemi, dropped out. Ghalibaf, Zakani and Ghazizadeh called on their supporters to vote for Jalili in the runoff next Friday in order to ensure victory for the Revolution Front. The snap election on Friday came within the 50-day constitutionally mandated period to select a new president after Ibrahim Raisi and 7 others, including Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian, died in a helicopter crash on May 19. Like all major elections in the past 4 years, the vote on Friday saw a low turnout, but the final number was much lower than the 45 to 53% suggested by polls. The lowest presidential turnout in the more than 4-decade history of the Islamic Republic was the one that got Raisi into office, with 48.8%. At just below 41%, the parliamentary election in March, and May previously had the lowest turnout of any major polls since Iran's 1979 revolution. The voter apathy comes as many are disillusioned in the aftermath of deadly nationwide protests in 2022-23, and as the economy continues to deal with myriad challenges, including more than 40% inflation due to mismanagement and United States sanctions. Hamid Reza Gholamzadeh, an Iranian foreign policy expert, attributed the low turnout to what he said was the reformist camp's failure to activate the sector of the electorate, which usually votes for it, and drives participation up. Despite the endorsement of heavyweight reformists, such as former President Mohammad Khatami and Hassan Rouhani, Pezeshkian failed to awaken that part of the society which is usually when we have a turnout above 50%. That usually comes from the reformist side, Gholamzadeh told Al Jazeera. And I would interpret that as people saying they want change, Gholamzadeh added. A higher turnout appears likely when Iranians vote in the July 5 runoff, since it would present a clearer choice between 2 opposing camps. That would mostly benefit Pezeshkian, who would need more votes to defeat the combined forces of the conservative and hardliner camps. Pezeshkian, a prominent politician and former health minister, is backed by former centrist and reformist presidents and other top figures. He has promised to lift sanctions by restoring the country's comatose 2015 nuclear deal with world powers and to bridge the widening gap between the people and the establishment. Jalili, a senior member of the Supreme National Security Council, has promised to bring inflation down to single digits and boost economic growth to a whopping 8%, along with fighting corruption and mismanagement. He advocates a harsher stance against the West and its allies. Pezeshkian was the only moderate of 6 people approved to run by the Guardian Council, the constitutional body that vets all candidates. His backers have presented him not as a miracle worker, but as a prospective president who could make things slightly better, while claiming a victory for Jalili would signal a major backslide. Iran heads to presidential runoff on July 5 amid record-low turnout. Video duration 07 minutes 59 seconds 07:59. Tehran, Iran. The snap presidential election in Iran is heading into a runoff next week after Reformist-Backed Masoud Pezeshkian and Hardliner Saeed Jalili emerged at the top but failed to secure a majority in a vote with a record-low turnout. Only 40% of more than 61 million eligible Iranians voted, the Ministry of Interior said on Saturday, a new low in presidential elections since the country's 1979 revolution. The final numbers from election headquarters at the ministry showed that the moderate Pezeshkian received more than 10.41 million votes from a total of more than 24.5 million ballots counted, trailed by former nuclear negotiator Saeed Jalili with 9.47 million votes.